Good afternoon. I'm Beth Copeland with Georgia Christian Business Network, and we are putting God back in business. It's Take Charge Tuesday. Yay. Welcome, Agatha. I'm so excited for my guest today. One second. I'm so excited, Agatha, to welcome you back to the platform. I titled you one of our elite members because we have the cream of the crop as members of our network at Georgia Christian Business Network. So I'm so excited. I don't get to see you much, but what I appreciate is the faithfulness that you bring, the support. You're always undergirding everything we do. And I want to just take this time to say thank you publicly. I've told you behind the scenes, but I want to publicly thank you for that. You know, a lot of our members may not be familiar with who you are, but you are an amazing entrepreneur. And I love the opportunity to bring you on the platform so that we can promote what you do as well. So thank you for joining us today. And I want to allow you just for a short period of time here before we get started to introduce yourself to the people. We've told them who you are on paper, and I like to do that. But when you come to the actual podcast, I like for our guests to tell the audience who you are, what you do, and why it's important for them to know.
You are so sweet. You're super sweet. And I'm like, don't cry. She's just introducing you. You know Beth's heart. It's good. Thank you so much for always allowing me to participate and be part of the platform. Hello, everyone. I'm Agata Domond. I'm the CEO and founder of Domond Leadership Institute. Within our company, we work with women in corporate America that are looking to build their own enterprise through a speaker-based business. So that's what I do on the entrepreneur side. I am a proud Haitian immigrant. I have beautiful babies here with my husband here in Atlanta, Georgia, and just the normal, the wife, the mom, the minister, and just really loving to be able to connect with women just like Beth and other individuals inside GCBN and everything that I do, that God is that covering. So having this space as a leader, I mean, it's a blessing to me. That's why I was trying not to tear up, because we're covered in this space, and with your leadership and your guidance, we know even when we see each other, don't see each other, we know our businesses are being prayed for, our families are being prayed for. So I'm just always excited to be part of it. Thank you.
I just love you from day one when
I
we met.
know. I
Yeah,
felt the
when
same way
you think
when
of
we
this,
met, right? We're not gonna cry, Beth. I'm not crying.
oh girl, I won't guarantee it, okay? But sincerely, and I'm gonna put you, because you're much younger than I am, I'm gonna put you to the test. How long have we known each other?
I was trying to think if it's going on 10 years. So let's say at least seven.
At least seven,
At least seven.
seven,
Yes.
eight,
Yes.
yeah. And I'm even getting chills because, you know, when God does the connection,
Mhm.
we may not always understand it, but we have to obey it. And
Right.
then when we're obedient, we start to see the fruit of the connection.
Right.
And I just love that. I love it. You know, this is the year of higher ground.
Yes.
And you've heard us talking about it. It's been a great opportunity where Rose and you, I could see the exchange going back and forth to prepare for your title today, which is amazing to me, is how you're going to share with us. And I'm going to let you introduce your title in just a second. But I want to speak to higher ground a little bit because I know that there's a lot of opportunities where the kingdom is under attack.
Right.
Yeah, the enemy is trying to do a trick. We're here at the ending of the first half of 2024. And we've been talking around here the year of higher ground, the year of higher ground. But some people, Agatha, are not experiencing higher. In fact, they are feeling defeated and as if um, they get one step forward and take two back.
Right.
And so I believe how God is going to really utilize this opportunity, because you're talking about one of my favorite terms of impact. Go higher in your awareness is going to equal greater impact. So I'm asking God already to allow this opportunity to be a game-changing day.
Right.
That this Transformational Tuesday broadcast will be a game changer. And just recall the higher acronym that we're focusing on this year is a heart of humility. Understand that man looks at the outward appearance, but God looks at the heart, and maintaining that posture of a heart of humility. To understand higher is inseparable integrity, that we'll have to continuously do the right thing, even when the wrong thing is happening unto us. The third opportunity that I believe is gracious giving. And I mean, it's something that my daughter Jessica reminds me of, that I said to her, be careful what you say to your kids, because yours are young and they're impressionable. But be careful what you say, because they're going to repeat it back to you. So make sure it's something that's going to be beneficial to them. And when it's repeated back to you, that it helps you grow. But she said to me, Mom, and I was talking about giving and the situation, and she had told me once that, seemingly everybody comes to me, to give. And, I just did this the last time for this, she was managing employees and whatever. And I said to her, be thankful that you're in a position to give. And so I got that back, said to me. And I believe that's what God is saying to us in higher ground about being a gracious giver. Make sure that we're understanding that our gifts truly will make room for us and cause us to sit among great men, and to be gracious that as we give, God's word is truth, and it will not return unto him void, that we give and it shall be given unto us. And we know the rest about that good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over. I'm receiving that in the name of Jesus right now, right? So the last three are quickly: honor him in your health. It's so important that we understand that we are, in essence, our business. And that if we're going to succeed in business, it's going to require that we understand that we house the temple, and that we honor him and be the best version of who he created us to be. Exemplary execution and relationships before revenue are the last two. And making sure that we are walking excellence as we execute. Executing is important. Executing and making sure that we complete the task, our assignments, and making certain that we're doing it in excellence, and that it's a model for others to follow, and understanding that income is urgent and a necessity to maintain business. So we need the revenue, but more importantly than that, are we building relationships? Because when we're investing in relationships, out of that can come the greatest amount of revenue that you ever recognize or suspect it would come. So that's our higher acronym. I want to just turn it over to you, Agatha, and allow God to just use you, speak to us. Let us hear what God would have us to know today.
Thank you so much, Beth. I think one of the things in reviewing and going over the higher acronym, I said, it's easy as business owners, just as individuals, right, to get overwhelmed in the breadth of it, right? We take every part of the acronym, and I said, you know what, I'm going to focus on our time today, just on the last two letters, right? That exemplary, we're going to take that execution and that relationship before revenue. And when we talk about that, just to see as you're listening, as you're taking notes and you're following with us, which part of it stands for you. And when we talk about creating impact, all those things are required. And sometimes the impact that's required, is it causing us to freeze? Is it causing us the action? Maybe we're looking for perfection instead of excellence. And sometimes are we building those relationships and not focusing on the revenue, or focusing too much on the revenue and not building those relationships? So we want to find a good balance, right? Where God allows us to use our gifts, use what we have to create an impact, but we're also building our businesses. So that's the lens that we're doing today. And we're going to focus as you as a business owner and creating that massive impact. And how do you do that? You do that through speaking. And a lot of you are listening. I know the members of GCBN, our connections and our networks, we have a lot of speakers. If it's in corporate, if it's in your ministry, if it's in your business. Our time today, we're going to talk about being intentional about where you speak and the impact you have. Because when we're talking about excellence, we want to focus on, okay, what is God calling us to in this season, right? And I wouldn't be who I am if I didn't have a PowerPoint presentation. So let me go ahead and try to bring that up. But I wanted to explain to you where what viewpoint we're coming from, because I know it's a lot at times. It's a lot of times to say, okay, am I doing the right thing? Am I doing the gracious giving? Am I doing, and I'm not going to call it the enemy, just life, right? Life, sometimes you're like, okay, am I doing the right thing? Am I on the right step? So as you're listening and we go through this, I want you to go ahead and focus on what is pulling you when it comes to the higher ground? What is pulling you on the impacts you want to have? The legacy you want to live, and just to bring down the overwhelm and the vast calling that's on your life. Let's say, okay, for 2024 within your business. Okay. I said we're going to focus on exemplary execution and relationship before revenue. And we're going to use stages to do that. So when we talk about using stages to do that and being intentional on the impact that you have, are you able to clearly and quickly articulate what problem are you solving in the world? Like, what solution do you offer? Right? Because we could do impact and we have different assignments, different times. But in this moment right now, as a business owner, as a thought leader, as a person of impact and change and influence, what problem do you solve? And what solution do you offer? How does that help us? That helps us when you're able to say, okay, in my business, this is what I do, and this is who I do it for. When you're speaking to that individual, and you have a greater impact. Your message is clear and it reaches your audience. And that impacts what you do, how often you do it, and the revenue you bring in. Okay. And how do we measure that? We're in the middle of the year. How do we stop and say, have I done what God has called me to do within my brand, within my business this year? And we're going to give ourselves grace to know, if I haven't reached that yet, how do I change that? What am I measuring? And how do I make that happen? So I'm going to give you a couple of suggestions that you can implement today in your business as a speaker to create greater impact. I won't go a little into more about this. We've met already. You guys know about me. As a speaker, we really want to focus on you. So the first thing is, I want to help you. Are speakers born or are they built? Because sometimes we shy away from our calling because, am I really made to do this? And my answer to you is, it's both. Some of us are naturally born extroverts like Beth, Copeland, are natural born connectors. And some of us, we have to build that muscle, like myself, we have to build that muscle. You see these individuals before you, Priscilla Schreier, Mel Robbins, Lisa Nichols. Do you identify with any of these ladies and how they present? And with your business and your brand, can someone say, hey, I can see that you're that type of speaker? And knowing that about yourself helps you connect your story with your audience. So hopefully you're identifying with one of the speakers. And put it in the chat for us if you have your own speaker that you look up to, that you're modeling within your business and how you create impact in this world. So now that we got over the fact that either you're born with it or you're built with it, but there's no excuse, you're a speaker that's going to create impact. How do you do that? We want you to go ahead and think about the problem and the solution, assessing the way you teach and the way you present on these platforms. Because a lot of times, Beth, we talk and we give information out, but we're not connecting and guiding anyone. So we spend a lot of time, a lot of money, effort, and we're like, okay, why isn't this business growing? Why isn't this ministry? Why am I not getting ahead in my career? Because we haven't taken the time to identify these key steps. I'm going to just leave you with this because there's a lot to cover with our legacy speaker model that we have within Domond Leadership Institute. But I want to leave you with this to know in your business, you want to have a model that you can go back to and say, okay, am I doing this with a customer, the audience that I'm attracting, that I want to make impact? Am I doing step 1? Am I doing step 2? Step 3 and step 4. So you have that as homework. Now, as a speaker, I want to go ahead and focus on the 3 stages that you can speak on. And are you doing that currently? Okay. Other people's audiences. How affect GCBN is a great platform. When we talk about Georgia Christian Business Network and other organizations like it, you might have your own. When you're talking about getting in front of other people's audiences to increase your impact, the voice and the message that God has given you within your business, if you just stay within your silo, you're doing yourself a disservice, you're doing your business a disservice. And it shows up by the number of people you impact, and it shows up in the lack of revenue that's flowing through your business. So what we want to encourage you to do is look at other people's audiences. How do you show up in print media? Right? Who was in the room? What media are you showing up? We gave you Haro. That's one of the resources that you can use. You see how sometimes you see people on their speaker reels or their website, you see featured on, as seen on. That's a resource at no cost that you can get featured as a speaker. Podcast guests. That's another way that you get your message in front of other people's audiences, right? I know this organization here has a podcast. Those that you follow within, you can find them on Facebook groups. They're out there. It's a matter of knowing, okay, how do I position myself and get on some of these stages and platforms? And also being in front of other people's audiences helps you get that social proof that lets you know what you're doing is working. And that's how you gauge that excellence level, right? You continuously doing it, continuously putting yourself out there and improving. The second stage I want you to look at is other people's stages. Now, this could be a virtual or a literal stage. And as we talk about other people's stages, these are the 3 things that you want to focus on, that you show up on the right stage, that it's an alignment with your values, it's alignment with what God has called you to do, and it's alignment with your business needs. Does that make sense? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and focus on other people's stages. And how do you get in other people's stages? We coach on pitching and sending out proposals and sending out requests, and we believe in paying to speak on stages. We believe on going out and pitching yourself and your business and your message. And I want you to think, when we talk about relationship and revenue, relationship over revenue, when you talk about other people's stages, that relationship piece is key, right? How do you get in front of someone else's stage if they don't even know you exist, or they don't know anything about you or your brand? That relationship piece that you foster over years, and you're like, okay, I'm ready to go ahead and send out a proposal, send out a pitch, because I know the people in this audience needs what I have.
You know, one thing, Agatha, this is such a powerful presentation, and in my spirit, I already know, I'm the Atlanta chapter director for the National Association of Christian Women Entrepreneurs, and I would love to invite you to either facilitate virtually or in person latter part of the year, because I know I'm booked, I think, up until August. The great opportunity
is to share this, because we have some dynamic women that are a part of this association, but in particular our Atlanta chapter, that I want to hear already. And we're not even anywhere near in the end of your presentation, just really getting started. But one of the things that I wanted to highlight that you said is so important: to do not discount speaking opportunities,
Right.
whether it's paid or unpaid. And I'm going to tell you something. I have had a number of speakers come to volunteer to speak on my platform, and they walk away with thousands of dollars from connections within little GCBN or coming to a NACWE meeting. It's so important to not discount and don't say, oh, I'm not getting paid to do that. I'm telling you, number one, you're sowing into good ground. Number two, don't discount the opportunity and qualify the ministry. Oh, nobody's going to be there. You'd be surprised. And I mean, repeatedly, it happens all the time. Bringing your A game wherever you go, bringing your full brand and not shortchanging can produce big bucks. Okay.
I definitely agree with you. I think one of the things too, I know for me, when we talk about our businesses, I started out in career development and speaking on stages, speaking in corporate, being a minister, preaching different styles. And part of what I did inside of my own business is realize what I was doing and speaking was a part that other people needed assistance and support in. And that piece was key for me. Now, I will be honest and say I'm an introvert, right? So I love speaking because I love teaching, but if I could do it without being seen, which is like, God is like, yeah, that's not how any of that works. But so I do a lot of consulting and I do a lot of training work. And when 2020 hit, it's like, okay, I could say, you can't do that. You can't just rely on what's your comfort zone, training and consulting inside of other brands, because not only is that limiting your impact, it's limiting the income you're producing in this business. So,
Yeah.
and it connects with those relationships. When I speak or I train, I have other business owners say, okay, can you, just like you did, right? Oh, you have another thought about where this can help the people that you serve. And we do that. So as the listeners are listening to us, understand that your message is needed, but you have to be on those platforms for it to make an impact. And when we talk about relationships over revenue, we want you to focus on both. We want you to focus on the relationship, but also as a business owner, focus on the revenue. I found myself in 2020 having to walk away, leaving my family, leaving my babies that I hadn't left since their birth, right? But I had to leave the state of Georgia to take another contractor position in Florida. When I tell you I literally cried every day, and I don't mean like small tears. I mean boo-hoo, snot, reapplying makeup. Brothers are calling me from other states and making sure I'm still like, you still good?
Oh.
You still alive? Because I had built my business where I had to show up in the business. And if I didn't show up, there was no revenue coming in.
Oh, man.
So I had to switch the speaker model to say, okay, I'm speaking on these stages, but I have to bring the people, the audience in to a platform, which is coaching, that it doesn't require me to be upfront on a stage. Because what I won't do, again, by the grace of God, is leave my baby for weeks and weeks and months on end.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Good.
So when we
Awesome.
talk about speaking on stages, it's not just for you, it's for the people that you're touching and impacting, and it's also for your business. I know we can come and we can talk and make you feel good as far as encouragement, but the truth and the reality is, if you're not doing the impact in your business, both the lives that you're changing and the revenue, is not sustainable. And we don't want that. We don't want anyone that we're connected to have that kind of story, okay? So we talked about other people's audiences. We talked about other people's stages. Now I'm going to talk to you about the most powerful, powerful, powerful stage that you can ever speak on. Let me know in the comments if you already know what that is. Because you see Beth doing it. You see I'm doing it. So what's the third powerful stage that you think you could speak on? It's your own stage. It's the stage that you create. And we're going to spend the bulk of our time here. The stage that you intentionally create for the customer that's looking for you because they have a problem that you can solve through your gifts and talents, your skills, your expertise, and through what you offer them as form of a product, a service that they're paying you for. Okay?
Awesome.
I know we're in ministry.
Awesome.
I know we volunteer. So I want to encourage you a little bit that the people you're talking to, that you have those that you serve through just your presence, information that you give, there's no cost, but I want to encourage you to also have a product or a service that people have to pay you for. They have to make an investment.
Yes. And if I may, just from a scriptural standpoint and a biblical reference, is your gifts shall make room for you and cause you to sit among great men, but also the servant is worthy of his hire.
Right.
It's so important that when I utilize my gifts to get before the great men, that I'm not afraid to capitalize on what it is that God has given me, because we're called to be kings and priests.
Right.
And we have to fund the kingdom. The kingdom, like everything else, requires money.
Right.
And it is so okay just know, I said like this, when to apply it.
Right.
And when it's okay to not apply it. Okay. Right. That's what I want to say, because we get it twisted. I'm not going to show up if they're not going to pay me. No, people pay me to do what I do. Somebody told me that recently. I said, okay, yeah, people pay me to do what I do. But sometimes the most beneficial opportunities is when I've known when to say, this is an offering to be a blessing, and when it's an offering for them to be able to repay me.
Right. And that's the relationship piece. That response to a person, when someone gives that response, and I understand we have fees attached to things that we do in our products and our services, but not only does the Holy Spirit nudge you, but as a part of your business model, to have a percentage where that's your give back. Right. And not being short-sighted at times to know, okay, this opportunity, even if it's not a paid opportunity, it turns into an increase in my email list. It turns into someone hearing me on that stage and giving me another opportunity that is paid. Right? There's different ways that we work on when you're speaking and using your gifts, and you get compensated for that.
Yes.
And when I was talking about having that situation where I had to leave my family because I needed that income coming in, God had to really work on me. Okay, we talked about the story of the women in the Bible using the oil to repay the debt. And I was like, you have all this skill and all this talent, and I'm giving you something that you can use that can take care of you and your family. And it's the same for you as you're listening. God has given you this expertise. And if you just leave it in a limited space, that's your comfort.
Yeah.
That's okay. Well, I'm not going to charge because I want to create impact. Really do a gut check to see, okay, is that a false sense of pride that's doing that? Is there an anxiety on attaching a price to it? Because we're running a business. So really challenge yourself to say, okay, how am I making impact? Am I doing enough? So when you look at your own stages, you pick and choose. What I would love for you as you're listening to us to outline on these the different stages that you have control on, to see, okay, am I showing up on this platform? How do I gauge the impact that I'm having on this platform? Like, are people opting in to what I'm offering? Are people responding to what I'm saying? And is it growing my business?
Wow.
Because unfortunately, I've had clients and students that they'll stay on a platform for a year and has never made a sale. So it's not just the income you're missing, but you're not touching anyone. If no one's opted in, no one said, yes, I want what you have, it's because that message is not coming across clearly.
Right,
And
right,
sometimes
right.
it's a strategy thing, and sometimes it's a message thing. But if you don't do that, go back and review, you won't know that. And then when we talk about excellence, that's a little bit lower than excellent when you're doing something and you're not getting the result, but you're not trying to fix it. So I say that in love, just to encourage you. God is telling you, let's put all these keys together. Let's use what's in our hand, our skills that we have, the platform that's available at no cost, and being intentional of how we create the impact and what we do. Okay, building relationships, but also building that revenue piece. So on your own stage, identify the platforms that you have and how do you want to show up on your own platform. And the key thing, because you can find yourself doing countless webinars, right? Doing countless summits. The key thing is to think about, as I'm speaking, as I'm presenting this information, the person that's listening to me, that customer, that client, what journey am I taking them on? How am I helping them solve their problem, right? Am I giving the solution for the first part of their problem? And then am I completing it from A to Z? What journey am I taking that audience member on?
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. This is good. The opportunity that you named it and you covered it as anxiety. But I'm going to call it out as straight out fear. Your own stage, creating it. It's easier and more comfortable, if you will, if someone invites you to the platform. But what if that doesn't happen? And I love it that you put it out there. Your own stage is the number one stage that you could ever present on. And I learned this even, and I'll have to reference it back to my kids being in grade school. And they were, for some reason, similarly always overlooked when it was time for the piano recitals to do the specials or here and there. So the Lord just laid on my heart because I was telling God, this is a Christian school, da 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 da. And he said, you create one for them. I went out to, it was
Yes.
Macy's back then or Rich's or whatever, bought just the most expensive, beautiful recital dress and
Yeah.
bought Romy a very nice sweater around the holidays and invited some of their cousins over and invited a whole huge audience of our friends and their friends and put on a recital right there
Yeah.
in the home. Let them utilize the piano that was in the home. And we did a piano recital and all of the adults sat around just like it was at a school or
Yeah.
something and listened to each. Some of it was comical because some of them weren't taking lessons like our kids were, but they did their little performance, and one of them got on the piano and played with his knuckles. But what I learned from that is that you have the opportunity to go out and design what it is that you want. You don't wait for someone else to put on the show to value you. You've
Right.
got to learn how to value yourself. And as it translates today to business ownership, it's so important that we know our value and our worth, and that someone deserves to experience that. And it's up to me to be able to give the exposure that I need for people to see what I'm doing.
Right.
I can't wait for someone else. And if I bring in a servant is worthy of his or her hire, then I can charge for this.
Right.
There's a price. And Lisa Bailey is saying, wow, that's me, Lord. And she said, yes, how do we fix that building on stage but no results? Agatha, she wants to know. And thank you for joining us, Lisa.
Okay. So when you talk about, the question is, how do you fix the building your own stage but no results? I think when we talk about customer journey, first in the beginning, when we talked about knowing the solution that you offer and the problem that customer is having. So knowing what is the outcome that I want from this stage. What is the outcome that I want from doing this webinar, doing this masterclass, or doing the challenge, right? Being very specific with the outcome and the goal that you have. Now, when you run it through, you present it the first time and it doesn't work, no one shows up. I'm a KPI corporate person, right? So you look at your key performance indicators. Did I have enough people in the room? Did I have a strong enough offer? Did it match the audience that I'm speaking to? And you literally take the data. Do I need to get in front of other people's audiences, right? Do I need to attract more leads, more awareness to my brand? Is that why it didn't work? And some of the
And,
mistakes that,
thinking
go ahead.
those KPIs, you can build that list. Am I marketing to the right people that I want to attract? And am I getting outside of my comfort zone or things for me?
Right.
What do you think about this? And then I want Lisa to take time to process some of that. And if you want to come back again for additional information, but what about opportunities like for me, me, I'll do it for a room of one. It's fine with me because if God told me to it, there's purpose in it. But it takes so much to invest in putting something together on your own stage that you want as many people to be able to participate and partake of it. People are slow to this is where I'm trying to go. Don't cancel an event and you can push back, Agatha, if you want to. Maybe you have ones or twosies, threesies sign up by 10 days before. What I've learned, and I've only done that once or twice, just said, oh, I'm not doing this. It's just too, I'm trying to protect the speaker. Or my guest that I might be having, or, expectation boils down to it. I was walking in fear.
Right.
I don't do it anymore. If God said it, food is not the boss of me. My last event, I had about 6 people signed up, and I was partnering with Julie, and I was telling her, listen, we only have 6 people signed up. And she said, yeah, well, some more are coming. And, we're just going to trust God and we're going forward. And I like to work with people like that because your faith is important. We ended up having like 25 people in the room. And, a few others had actually paid and a few others were on virtual. So, but they didn't show up. A couple of people didn't show up that had paid. But what I'm saying is, help me, please, Agatha, because I'm going to put it out there. You can massage
I
it.
hear you. I hear you. I just didn't want to cut you
People
off.
can
I
be
definitely hear
fickle.
what you're saying.
People can
The
be
people
fickle.
that's coming into the room. So when you set up an event, number one, like Beth said, go through with it anyway. If it's an empty room or if it's less than what you expected, because what you get out of that is that social proof we talked about earlier, because you're taking pictures, you're getting marketing results, and you're learning. You're learning. Some of it might be a little bit more of an expensive lesson depending on the event type, but you're learning from it. And what I coach my customers on and my students on is repeat it. So if it's something that you're going to do annually, if it's something you're going to do quarterly, monthly, or weekly, repeat it so you can go ahead and iterate, right? You can make those changes. Now, people not showing up, I'll give you 3 basic areas. You look at where you're marketing. So are you advertising and talking about it with your whole heart on IG and all your people are sitting on Facebook somewhere, right? Where are you bringing this to market? Okay. And second thing is the message and the urgency. Is this a problem or a solution that the person is faced, the people you're talking to, is this something they're looking to fix right now? And they're willing to pay for it right now? Or is it like, I can't participate. Like there's no need for them. And when you're talking about the third thing, everything you do, every stage that you're on, have it lead to somewhere else. So it leads to people getting on your list. So there's no money lost because you did the thing, they're either on your list, or they're showing up for a smaller event, but you know you're making an offer to a bigger event. And the part of that is you always go back and ask the attendees or the people that signed up didn't show up. Hey, did something happen? Depending on your list or the amount of people you have, did something happen? You didn't make it, or you didn't enroll into the program? What would have made it a better opportunity or better fit for you? You get that feedback and you turn around and you do it again.
Exactly.
All right.
With implementing that feedback on the second go around. And another thing, Agatha, and I love to hear your take on this, is getting caught up in your comfort zone. Going to people, something came up at Food Is Not the Boss of Me, and they were talking about when you have opportunities, and it came up on the platform. The first place we go to is family to try to get that support. I think we were talking about a Juice Plus, the product that we use. And so often we get turned down. I don't know what it is about family, but the general consensus in that room was everyone was in agreement that that isn't the first place we should go to sometimes, more often than not. But I'm using that to say our expectations are, well, I go to the familiar, and that's going to be where I'm going to get my immediate win.
Mm-hmm.
Go to the need is what I'd say more often, to find those people and get outside of your comfort zone. A lot of people are comfortable more with Facebook, but LinkedIn might be why, or Instagram might be where your peeps are. You know,
And
what do
business
you think?
owners, we should be on LinkedIn regardless if our people
Yeah.
are there or not, because you're a business owner, so you're going to have an opportunity to do business with others there. But that foundational piece, I wanted to go back to this slide. When you talk about going to your family, strictly business, right? So we're not going to talk ministry or nonprofit,
No.
strictly business, right? So if you're talking about business, your ideal customer is the person who has a problem that you can solve, then it's willing to pay you right now to solve that problem. So if your family member doesn't fit that category, they're not your ideal. Now, the marketing and bringing the word out, that's part of your brand, like people that really buy into what you're doing and that shares that. But the only way you're going to know who that is if you do market research. It's not a magic thing. It's going to be the ugly work that you do behind the scene that no one sees. It's going to be old school, getting on the phone, talking to people. And one of the like starting points when we come to our businesses, and before you make an offer, before you put something out there, to really understand, who does this serve? Who does this support? And what's the results? So when you get that listed out, you could do like 3 key takeaways, 3 key benefits, 3 key results. So when you're pitching or you're sending that offer out to someone, you can confidently speak on the solution. You could confidently speak on the results. So it takes away the personal part, right? So you're not afraid of rejection because you're not the offer. Like, I'm not selling me. I'm not asking you need to like me a little bit, get along with my personality a little bit, but we're not trying to be besties, right? You're enrolling in a program because like our signature program is your first 5K. If you haven't made your first 5K in business and you like the way that I teach, you're listening to say, okay, how else, what is the benefit of that program? And if I could go ahead and list that out to you, your ears open up. And let's say you tell me no. But because I know the results that program offers, I'm like, okay, then it wasn't a right fit for them right now. They didn't have the funds right now, or maybe they just really didn't like me that much, which is fine because the offer is still good. The results are still there. So as women, sometimes our emotions, and I know because I have to learn to tap into my emotions, right? That's not a natural thing for me, but we have to separate that. When we look at the matrix, we look at the numbers, we look at the results, and we give ourselves a little grace. If you need to feel it a little bit, feel it, but then move that aside and then try again. right? And then don't do it by yourself. You're connecting right now. You're listening to us on the Georgia Christian Business Network. You have other business owners that are literally doing the same thing that you're doing, right? They're showing up on these platforms. They're connected to Beth. They're having opportunities within this organization to present what they have. So we're not even sending you out there to the wolves by yourself. You're in a community where you can really test and see, okay, is this good? Do I have a question? Can someone give me some feedback? So don't do it by yourself. That's another key thing too. I don't know if that answered your question. I know we had another one in Zoom, but
yeah. Listen, I believe that hit the nail on the head. Sometimes, you have to massage things a little, but the straight out truth is the best. Is listen, do the market research. Your problem isn't that your family isn't supporting you, is that they're really not your audience when it
right.
boils down to it.
And how many times can they really support you
Yeah.
financially? How many times could they really buy? And even if they did, another thing too, if you're really looking at, like we do church members, we do family.
We do church members good too.
Right.
Yeah.
Give
Yeah.
them an opportunity to say, hey, try this. And here's a QR code or here's a discount code. Anyone you see that can use this, share this with them. So you make it easy for that family member to support you. You give them a special
It
link.
may not be you. And I know the person that asked Lisa, if more often than not, maybe her family would be because she's in insurance, right? Yeah, everybody needs insurance. So, but sometimes people don't understand the value of it until something happens, and they're in a situation where, yeah, I could have used some insurance, so to speak. Um, Sometimes it's better to go forth. Everybody can't go where God is taking you. So the opportunity is you got to go forward. You just got to keep moving towards, and if God is giving you the vision, He will send the provision. To Agatha's point, you still own your growth and development. We all do. And I say those comfort zones more often than not weigh us down because it takes distraction of our attention onto something we could be applying to look at those KPIs from a different way,
Right. But even with the example you just gave, I have one of our students, he's an actual minister and he actually sells life insurance, right? Not a very seductive, easy, beautiful, like attractive thing, life insurance. But one thing we worked with is you're really not selling to everybody. Even though everybody needs insurance, your story, when we talk about, and we didn't go into it on this talk, but your story and who you resonate with is who you're going to sell to. So he's a male, he sells insurance, he has his own personal loss that that drew him to that industry. So that's part of what he uses to connect with the audience. So he uses that to connect with other men that say, okay, this is what our family had to go through and this is why we needed this service. So now he's not interested in selling insurance to a mom or no, he's looking at men that have families that don't have coverage. So whatever your industry is, do the work to narrow it down. It could be anything. Who within this industry, within this subgroup that I'm serving, and what part of my story resonates with that individual. That way, when you get on these platforms and you do your own stages, you're talking to that group of individuals. And they're all out there, right? So even if you narrow it down, I'm big on niching, so you can niche down. That individual shows up. They could be a group of 1, a group of 50. All of them have that same desire, that same need, or in the same stage of life, and you get better results that way.
Awesome. Amazing. I love it. I told them this is one of the elite of GCBN. Such a powerful presentation. Thank you so much for sharing. I'm going to share a little bit about what's going on within GCBN, but I want you to think of a takeaway. I mean, you said so many wonderful things, but something that you would leave us to grow on, that you want to just be strongly within our spirit, and that we can resonate on and propel us forward at the same time. So I want to thank you all for joining us today over on the Facebook side of the house, and those that will watch the replay, where I'm so excited for what God is doing through Georgia Christian Business Network as we put God back in business. I want to invite you to visit our website, gcbnetwork.com. Look for opportunities to become a member, to become a sponsor, to attend an upcoming event. We have a great opportunity for Agata Golfing Girls, our 9th annual, yes, at Lake Lanier, August 16th through the 18th. It would be a wonderful opportunity to join us. If you can't stay for the entire weekend, which we'd love to have you for our entire weekend, come Friday night for our all-white party. It was spectacular last year, and we just look to go even higher because that's our theme for GCBN, the year of higher ground. The theme for GGG, God Golfing Girls, the 9th annual, is seated in high places. And we're excited about that and what God's going to do through our amazing speakers, our inspiring presenters. It's power packed. And we want you to be there as well. Do not allow money to be the showstopper. Reach out to us. Let us help and assist to facilitate your being able to be a part of this. When I tell you it's going to be off the chain, just unreal, an experience like never before. I'm not going to say you've not had better experiences. What I'm going to say is going to be such a powerful, unique experience that is life-changing. And we want you to partake of that. So thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you will connect with us at Georgia Christian Business Network to become involved and to let's go higher together. Agatha, thank you again. I mean, this is just wonderful. I expected nothing less. I was pretty excited about getting on with you, you know?
Thanks so much for having me too. And I love our theme. I think we give ourselves grace to know that God has called us higher, and the impact that we were destined and purposed to have, we're still able to do it, right? There's no mistake, there's no misstep that cancels that. So God gives us space.
No.
And you hear the message, that's your start again. If it's today, you start again today.
Start again. And Lisa says over on Facebook, she says, this is so good. So glad I was able to catch this live today. And thank you, Lisa, for listening and participating. We appreciate it. We're helping so many people. Some of them won't say it like Lisa did, but we are. You have to be assured that you are being effective in what God's called you to do. And so Agatha, thank you for being with us. All of these years you've been with us. And I just want to say thank you, because it's certainly a vote of confidence. And it's just like scripturally, there are more for you than against you. So you go well, be well, and continue to go higher, because you definitely so on good ground through GCBN. And we value that, and we value you. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Take care. Love on those babies for me.
Oh,
Okay.
thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye now.